Minecraft has a long and detailed history of bugs, but unlike any other game, what makes Minecraft's bugs so unique is that there have been many cases where they have become features of the game, some of which are now fundamentally important that we use regularly whilst playing. But that begs the question, when does a bug get to be considered a Minecraft feature? If it has existed for years, is it safe to assume its intended behavior? Well, the past few months, and with Minecraft's most recent Spring to Life update as of a few days ago, some of the game's most useful bugs, of which have existed since 2010, have been silently getting fixed. And while for some the community has rallied together to force Mojang to unfix them, others remain fixed, breaking many long-standing Minecraft mechanics. Why is Mojang suddenly doing this, and what exactly is going on? Well, recently, in Minecraft 1.21.5 Release Candidate 1, a snapshot-like version of 1.21.5, a hidden change not documented anywhere in the patch notes occurred. Ever since nether portals were added to the game back in 2010, despite the portal looking small, its hitbox was still considered the size of a full block. So here, for example, despite my character not actually visually entering the portal, we still enter its hitbox and thus get teleported to the nether. The same goes for all other entities with hitboxes, which of course includes mobs and items. Now, this was actually a good thing, as nether portals are very useful for a variety of farms and technical builds, used for teleporting mobs and items to and from the nether, and the fact that the portal's hitbox was a full block made this task easy and straightforward to do. However, in this recent release candidate, the portal's hitbox was now fixed, so that it would be the same size as the portal looks visually, which is about 4 pixels. So now I can drop items really close to the portal and they won't go through, which I was unable to do before, and the same goes for mobs and the player, which can now visually go into the portal without even teleporting. Strangely, as mentioned earlier, this bug fix was not documented anywhere, and the only report I could find of it was from 2016, which seems to have been mostly ignored. It was an assumed game mechanic at that point. This change breaks some important mechanics used in technical builds. For example, pistons can no longer push items into a portal as they once could, boats are now much harder to get into portals, and big slime farms, which relied on slimes getting teleported to the nether so the mob cap wouldn't fill up, will now have issues where small slimes won't enter portals, drastically slowing down these farms. Now, if this bug fix remains, there likely will be workarounds that will be used, but more importantly, this change benefits nobody and only actively harms gameplay. So why was it made? Nobody was complaining about the portal's hitbox being too big, as it wasn't an issue. This change is only a net negative on gameplay. But more concerningly is the fact that this situation isn't the only one that occurred, as recently there was another undocumented change to an important Minecraft mechanic. But first, do you want to run a Minecraft server so you can abuse these bugs and show them off to your friends? Well, this video sponsor, Hostinger, is perfect for you then. If you've never run a server before, then you won't have any issues, as Hostinger has an instant server setup that will do the hard work for you automatically, and has a very user-friendly GUI that allows you to easily choose the Minecraft server, version, as well as whatever plugins or server mods you want to install, all of which can be done with just a few clicks. And you won't have any server lag issues either, as Hostinger's super fast NVMe SSD storage, as well as high-end AMD EPYC processors, will run your server without issue. You can even switch between both a Java and Bedrock server, as well as even other games with no restrictions. And if your friends decide to grief your base, Hostinger's automatic backups will make sure you can recover your builds. For a limited time, you can use my code at hostinger.com/MrEpic to get an extra 10% discount for a total of 75% off on a 24-month Minecraft Game Panel 2 plan. Link below. In the same release candidate, technically not a bug, but another important Minecraft mechanic that had existed since beta 1.7 was randomly broken: entity separation. Now, I won't go into detail because it gets quite technical, but the gist of it is that there were ways using contraptions with pistons to sort or separate entities by their age. So for example, you could throw stacks of cobblestone and then push out the first stack you threw down, or if you collected a bunch of creepers in order to turn them into charged creepers to get mob heads, you could use this mechanic to only push one out at a time, that being the first creeper that spawned, which is the oldest. This was used a lot in storage-based technical builds and was very useful, but randomly, completely undocumented, was changed. This led to quite some backlash from the technical Minecraft community, as well as members of the Hermitcraft community, such as DocM77, when the change was discovered by technical Minecrafter methods. Fortunately, in 1.21.5 Release Candidate 2, this was fixed, but as I was told by methods, such a change change, which was seemingly untested by devs, could have led to a lot of other issues, and it's quite poor that they would make such a change without proper gameplay testing. Now, this whole ordeal may sound somewhat familiar to you if you've kept up with Minecraft's updates recently, and that's because the past few months, Mojang has patched or attempted to patch an abnormally high amount of old and useful Minecraft bugs that the general player base was very fond of. Back in early 2019, during Minecraft 1.14.2, a bug was introduced to the game whereby players would continue sprinting when they performed the actions that would slow them down. So, for example, if you began sprinting, then began holding a shield or sneaking, you would move faster than you normally would if you held a shield or sneaked without sprinting beforehand. Most of you probably used this bug for years thinking it was a feature without even realizing, and when combined with enchantments such as Swift Sneak, could be really powerful. Despite having existed since 2019 for over 5 years, in December of last year with the release of Minecraft 1.21.4 and the Pale Garden, this bug was patched. Players obviously weren't happy, many of which mentioning that this bug had been in Minecraft for way too long and should be considered a feature. But Mojang didn't stop there. A month later, in January of this year, they fixed a bug where 75% of players were not subscribed to TheMisterEpic despite watching his videos, thus preventing him from reaching 800k subs. No pressure. Anyways, in January of this year, Mojang fixed 2 long-standing Minecraft bugs that many of you once again probably didn't even know were bugs in the first place. Notably, they fixed a bug which allowed you to move faster when you moved diagonally. So here we are sprinting forwards at the normal speed of 5.612 blocks per second, but if we sprint diagonally by also holding A or D to move left or right, we move slightly faster at 5.727 blocks per second. This bug was very useful as it allowed you to move 40% faster when crouching. Now, outside of just normal players once again liking the ability to move slightly faster, especially when in slow crouching speeds, this bug was utilized regularly by the parkour and speed bridging community, and it really negatively impacted them. For example, speed bridges were no longer able to speed bridges fast, as now when they hit sneak, they moved much slower. For parkour players, it made 45-degree jumps, a specific kind of jump where you turn 45 degrees in midair to jump slightly further, impossible as well. Such jumps were used on enthusiast parkour servers as well as maps, and were very important to the community. Now, keep in mind, these diagonal movement speed bugs have existed since Minecraft's inception, and were actually regularly utilized in older games, which they also impacted. These bugs were older than some of Minecraft's player base at this point, and as such, many people just considered them features since they had existed for so long. Furthermore, nerfs to game movement never feel good, as it makes gameplay feel slower and more clunky. As such, Mojang got a lot of backlash for attempting this change, and after a petition on the Minecraft feedback website asking to revert this change received massive widespread support, they walked the change back, at least for now. But keep in mind, this only happened after a lot of backlash. Which, speaking of, side note, but as I was making this video, Mojang actually reverted the sprint sneak bug fix they made in 1.21.4 with the recent release of 1.21.5, giving a very similar reason as to their reversion of the diagonal sprint bug. So once again, it seemed that the backlash was enough to get them to rethink this change. But what would have happened if nobody complained? So that all begs the question, why are these entirely harmless and entirely beneficial to the gameplay experience Minecraft bugs and mechanics suddenly in Mojang's iron sights? Why are they going out of their way to patch useful bugs that nobody has ever complained about, some of which have existed for almost 15 years? And I believe we may have got an answer to that in the recent Minecraft Live. In the recent Minecraft Live, it was revealed that the game's next drop would be named Spring to Life.
We want to revisit some existing biomes to make them more delightful and to give them a clearer and more unique personality. And in that way, we hope to enhance some of the existing core values Minecraft already has.
I think it's a nice bit of sort of spring cleaning to the overworld biomes.
From what's been showcased and described, it very much seems like this update is a spring cleaning update, where older game mechanics or entities are spruced up, given smaller updates and tweaks to make them more interesting. And in that same regard, I personally think that Mojang have been taking a similar approach with some of the game's long-time bugs, especially the past few months. A good example of this is the fall damage bug. You see, another long-time bug that was fixed recently was the bug where fall damage was ignored for a couple seconds when reloading into single-player worlds. This one I'm sure most of you have used at one point. I know I have dozens of times. It was one of the game's oldest bugs as a matter of fact, but was finally patched in November last year. Now, unlike the other bugs we've talked about, which only had positive impacts on the game and weren't overpowered, this one was debatably more OP, allowing you to potentially cheat death, and as such, despite its age, people weren't as upset at it being patched. patched. But it is yet another example of this recent trend whereby Mojang is spring cleaning the game and with it potentially fixing many of the game's long-standing Minecraft bugs, which players argue at this point should be considered features. Which raises an interesting question. What makes a bug a feature, or more specifically, when does a Minecraft bug get to be considered a feature? Throughout Minecraft's history, there have been a lot of cases where bugs have become official or even unofficial features. I've made an entire video about it here, but some examples are creepers, which began as bugged or broken pig textures, quasi-connectivity, a super important technical Minecraft mechanic, and the ability to crawl and sneak under Minecraft slabs, which began as a bug. Many of these mechanics I've listed are essential to the game now. There has also been cases of extremely useful bugs that have been contentious and threatened to be patched but then weren't. A good example of this is the zombie pigman XP bug. To explain, when a Minecraft mob is killed by natural causes such as fall damage, it doesn't drop XP as the player didn't kill it. However, for years now there has existed a bug where zombie pigmen, which are aggroed at the player and die by natural causes, still drop XP despite not being killed by the player. This bug led to the creation of one of the best XP and gold farms in the game, the Donut in the Sky pigmen farm, which was entirely AFKable and was used by many people. One of Ilmengo's tutorials on it has 3 million views, an insane amount for a Minecraft farm, just showing how popular it was. Now, this farm and thus bug has always been a bit contentious, as many people have considered it too overpowered. The bug remained untouched for about 6 years, but then randomly out of the blue in 2020, during a Minecraft 1.16 pre-release, was fixed, although was unfixed almost immediately after. Minecraft dev SliceDLime would make a Reddit post talking about this bug after it was unfixed, mentioning that the pigmen XP mechanic makes no sense and should not exist, strongly suggesting it would be patched in the future. Then there was no word on it for a long time until very recently, once again in January of this year, 5 years later, where the bug was finally patched. The pigmen bug technically existed for over 10 years at that point, and was paramount to the function of one of the game's most popular and used XP farms. Should it have been considered a feature at that point? Should it have been fixed? When does a bug get to become a feature? When is it safe for the foreseeable future? Previously, it was believed that if a bug had existed for years and was used by a large portion of the player base and didn't really have any negative impact on the game, it would be safe from being patched. But now, based on Mojang's behavior the past few months, where they have fixed or tried to fix long-time bugs that the player base was very fond of and had no negative impact on the game, that previous notion is now up in the air. At this point, who knows what's next, and as Methods told me in reference to the recent changes, if simple shit like this breaks, a lot more is usually to come. I hope you enjoyed the video, make sure to check out Hostinger, be sure to subscribe, thank you all so much for watching.